Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Liam Dale, seminarian with the Diocese of Des Moines, and on today's show, we're visiting with Father Tom Ascheman, SVD, a Des Moines native and Dowling graduate who's serving as the president of Divine Word College in Epworth, Iowa. But before we get into today's interview, let's find out what's on the bishop's mind.
What a glorious weekend last Friday night. Obviously, the ordination of the three now fine young priests who are joining our ranks among the presbyterate of the Des Moines Diocese. Father Nick Smith, Father Rodrigo Mayorga Landeros, and Father Alex Kramer. Father Rodrigo, as he clued us last week, will be at St. Anthony Parish in Des Moines, but assisting also with some of the Hispanic ministry at Christ the King and possibly Our Lady of the Americas as well. Father Nick Smith will be at Our Lady's Immaculate Heart in Ankeny, and he too, with a little bit of Spanish, maybe assisting on occasion in other places as well. And Father Alex, he's still going to continue his studies, not to be a petty bureaucrat, but to bring the pastoral weight of the canon law. So he's got 2 more years of study. So that's kind of a sacrifice for him. Yeah. He doesn't have the consolation of being in a parish and all the love that comes there. So kind of a not monastic existence, but for the sake of the church. And so we're grateful to him. 2 more years to go. But he's going to have a ball of a time, literally, at Catholic Youth Camp in the month of July.
It's exciting.
And I hear he's just he's the magnet there. The kids love him, and this former Eagle Scout and all that he's about. We've got a number of Eagle Scouts among our ranks. I would get myself in trouble if I tried to tick off the list here as well. But the qualities that people bring. I actually was not at their masses of Thanksgiving, suffering out on the bike because I have not put in the miles in the saddle outdoors, only indoors. The Biking for Babies fundraiser for pregnancy resource centers. We're conscious of their precarious situation with those who want to kind of pass back. The Agape Center was, I think, defaced a few weeks ago. But then with the good people at Sacred Heart and Sheraton and St. Clair and Clarinda for confirmations. And so what a great weekend it is. And I'm looking forward to this weekend, the big holiday weekend. Yeah. But I'll be with the good people at St. Boniface in Westphalia. Kind of postponed, but celebrating their 150th anniversary of that parish, and what a first parish in Shelby County and all that goes with that. It was so nice to hear from my good friends, Alma and Myron Brewer in Council of Bluffs. Alma kind of writes me these little notes occasionally just to boost my spirits and little things. It was kind of humorous. She said in her little letter to me recently, when you have time, could you send me another one of your bishop cards? Our dog Snowy got a hold of my prayer book and ripped up the card. I think Snowy is a Methodist, 3 exclamation points there.
Dogs have a way of doing that.
Yeah, so, but interesting, Snowy chewed up my prayer card, but did not chew up the prayer book. I wonder about this, So she prays for me daily. She sent me $1 to send her the prayer card. So God bless you, Alma. I'll return your $1, and maybe throw in a few extra prayer cards so in case Snowy gets ravenous again as well. What was it I said that, now, if it was a cat, I could understand, but a dog, that's another story. I thought dogs love me, but anyway.
Not this one.
Not this one, not Snowy. So I wonder what kind of dog Snowy is. I don't know. But we think about, the Juneteenth celebration of the liberation of people, Emancipation Proclamation finally being communicated to Africans in Texas and other places, and the kind of the slowness with which that was received, or the kind of people who were still wanting to encroach on that. But within the Catholic Church, the liberation that comes from Jesus, and there are those who the Church continues to hold up to us. Liam?
Yeah, so I'm going to touch on this briefly, but Julia Greeley was a native to Denver, Colorado, and she's on track to being the first African-American saint. And that's pretty exciting. She dedicated her life to helping the poor and serving her community. She did a bunch of little things involved with clothing poor families, raising money for the community. And I thought the most interesting thing was that she gave away her grave to an old man who would otherwise have been buried in a potter's field.
But now, as God would have it, she herself is buried, not too shabby real estate, right, in the Denver Cathedral. Right?
Yes, and the only two.
As a poor person herself.
Mm-hmm. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll welcome Father Tom Ascheman, SVD, a Des Moines native and Dowling graduate who serves as the president of Divine Word College in Epworth, Iowa. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Knights of Columbus, Borman and Pfeiffer Agencies, serving the Catholic families in Iowa. The Knights of Columbus is a fraternal benefit society providing financial security to members and their families, specializing in life insurance, long-term care insurance, disability income insurance, and retirement annuities. And you can reach Knights of Columbus field agent Rob Ryan at 563-689-6801. That's 563-689-6801. Thank you, and God bless.
Iowa Catholic Radio welcomes Scotty McCreery
with special guest Allie Colleen.
Sunday, July 24th at the Iowa Event Center Ballroom. Tickets and information available at celebratecountry.org. Sponsored by Ball Team.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. On today's show, we're visiting with Father Tom Ascheman, SVD, a Des Moines native and Dowling graduate who serves as the president of Divine Word College in Epworth, Iowa.
So good to have you, Father Ascheman, Father Tom, with you. We first made our acquaintance, I think, among the sea of Dubuque priests that would come out to Divine Word for convocation, and you've survived another round of that this year, I understand, although they reduced some of their time with you. So, the relationship kind of spans the province of Iowa, but your vocation and mission it really has the whole world, the universal church in play, and we want to talk about that moment, but let's, all things are local here, and so on this Making It Personal show, just talk about your Des Moines connections and how the roots of your life and your vocation kind of sprouted here in Des Moines.
Well, actually, even earlier than that, probably. But in Des Moines, we moved to Des Moines when I was about in sixth grade, and so I was at St. Pius X School in Urbandale. And people ask, how did I get to know the society? I belong to the Society of Divine Word. It's because I pulled a card off of a bulletin board at St. Pius X, years and years ago.
My goodness, those promotional materials actually have an impact sometimes. Yeah,
indeed.
So you allude that prior to that, the seeds of your vocation. Could you unfold that for us a little bit?
Right. My dad was finishing up his doctorate at Ohio State University, and we were living there at Ohio State in married students' dorm, so very intercultural, international kind of environment. So my best friend was from Romania, Doro Marcuzio, and another one, Ray Seward from the Virgin Islands. So we were quite a mix of people, so it already gave some flavor to my large interest in living in intercultural community. But I remember very specifically a time when I was about 6 or 7 years old. It was before First Communion, and I was standing out on the playground, standing between the church and the school. This would have been St. Agatha Parish in Columbus. And just for a moment, just had an opening in me. And out of that moment, I just made this not resolution, but response. I want to be a priest. Of course, when you're 6, you don't have to be rational, because I also wanted to be a fireman at a time and a policeman for a while and a teacher, of course. I wanted to be an American indigenous person, a Native American, all of those things. But the one that always stayed solid there was to follow out that guide of that sense of call, which came very, very early and very completely to me. I've never lost that sense of call.
That's so beautiful and compelling, and it really resonates with what our 3 men newly ordained were sharing with us last week. And that God sows these little sparks, and that not to be ignored early on. And these aren't just kind of fanciful things, other things are in the mix, but that how God would kindle that with the Spirit and the other life experiences of going forward. So, the Ohio State University, and then to Des Moines, Iowa.
Let's be clear on this. My dad is a very faithful lover of Ohio State University up until his death a couple of years ago, and I still have his Ohio State sweatshirt. But never wear it when they're playing the Hawkeyes, okay?
That would be dangerous. It certainly wouldn't assist you in development with Divine Word, right?
It would also confuse my heart.
Yeah. So, well, as one who went to seminary in Worthington at the Josephinum, and St. Agatha was the parish where ordained Bishop Earl Fernandez had his Vespers prior to his ordination. So it's a small church.
It is.
But all right, so St. Pius, and then your father, and you came from a family of numerous siblings, or was it?
We're 6, and several are still in Des Moines. My sister Elaine is down in Kansas City, but my sister Kay is a physician in Ankeny and attends, I don't remember which parish. I've still not clarified.
Okay, St. Luke's or Our Lady's Immaculate Heart. Okay, yeah.
And then my sister Mary Beth is in Urbandale still, attends St. Pius. And then my 2 brothers, Jim and Phil, kind of float around the city a little bit.
Okay, they float around. Not an unusual phenomenon, right? They have options. But as long as they're choosing to go to a church, that warms our heart, and the different places too. So probably their perspective on homilies and different things has a kind of an edge to it. If my own siblings, that it's not always easy to preach to your own family or to have them present. But you were with your Dowling Catholic High School family this past weekend, celebrating the 50th anniversary of your class, alumni class. Can you share what you're expecting as you're entering into that festivity?
Well, it's hard to say a little bit. I've been trying to figure out, I had the Mass and was trying to figure out on Sunday what exactly to say, and we had the reading of Elisha called and says, don't turn back, don't keep looking back. And Jesus kind of in the same way. And I think that was the primary message I was trying to put forward. Even, my class is all 68 years old right now, and the other 2 classes that didn't get a 50-year reunion, many of them were also present, so those that were graduated not in 72, but in 71 or 70, many of them were there, and keep saying, listen, you may have retired, but don't spend your time looking back. We need to look forward to the kingdom still.
Amen.
Yeah. And I think many of my friends are doing that. I mean, I belong to a gang of 6. There are 6 of us who are in the debate squads of Father Acri years and years ago, and we've kept close contact with one another, and it's been a delightful set of relationships.
And of course, Father Acri, always looking forward, I think, in a young heart, celebrating his 60th anniversary of ordination a couple of weeks ago, and with us on the show as well. So you're one of his debate proteges.
Even went to visit him during the reunion, so it was fun.
Tremendous. So you're one of his debate proteges. So, but very good. Now, at the last class, I understand that that's separate from St. Joseph's Academy. So, as an all-boys school, how did that work? I mean, was that a lot of testosterone there bouncing around on those homes?
That's true. Somehow in those days it seemed to work. I enjoyed it, to tell you the truth. Of course, my girlfriend at the time was a St. Joe's candidate, so she was going to school at St. Joe's. But I'm very happy that they decided to go co-ed in '73. I just think it's a lot healthier environment long term. I don't mean to say that it was unhealthy before, but it's just a fuller environment. I would say even this. Here at Divine Word College, where I'm at now, college seminary for mission people studying for mission, there are a lot of women on campus as well, because there are a lot of women religious here, and we find it's a lot better to train young men who are considering a celibate vocation to be living together with women on an ongoing basis. It's just a wholer experience.
Amen. I mean, the kind of holistic integration and, the dynamic of, the male and female and kind of discovering oneself and that relations. I think it aids discernment and maybe civilizes the guys a little bit. But,
it does.
I mean, the church is
one of the advantages.
The church is so feminine in so many ways. And I think, if you're not able to relate, that doesn't bode well for a vocational calling. Just curiosity here. Your girlfriend you were dating from St. Joe's, did she go on to the the BBMs, or did she end up getting married?
She got married in California some years later.
Okay, all right. So, well, the mystery of how that goes. So Divine Word, and you pulled the card off the wall at St. Pius, but there was something just really continuing to draw you. Not only the Ohio State experience, but how did that unfold then when you were drawn to the order?
I knew already, and already in sixth grade, I was kind of considering minor seminary, to go to a high school seminary, and was looking at some, but my parents very wisely chose Dowling for me, so that I'm very, very grateful for their decision. But when I visited Divine Word up here in Epworth for the first time, there's something that just rang in me, and that is the intercultural, international environment here. Because, I'm a child also of the civil rights movement, and I remember, another moment of feeling really touched by God in a special way when I was listening to Dr. Martin Luther King give his I Have a Dream speech. I was probably, at that time, about 10, 11, something like that, and watching it on TV, and it was just boom, it was like listening to the voice of a prophet, in the contemporary time. I don't want to deify Dr. Martin Luther King or anything like that, but I'm convinced the Spirit had him in those moments and, spoke to me and many others. So I visited a number of seminaries, and this is the first one that when I discovered its strong international, world-embracing kind of outlook, it was clear to me this was the place. You've driven by certainly many times here, and you see the flags out in front of our college on Highway 20.
It looks like the United Nations practically out there.
It does, and I'm looking out my window at them right now as I speak to you, and, it still stirs a lot in my heart. For me, to be a priest was one thing, but then I discovered I really needed to be a member of a religious community to feel whole. I needed brothers. And the other part is I needed brothers that were from all over the world. Those were the elements, that really came strongly forward for me. And so it was a outstanding experience. When I came, I looked at other places, but, there's no second thoughts or anything like that. This was the place. I entered here for 4 years. With an interruption for a year abroad in Japan at one of the SVD universities there. Mm-hmm. And then from here on to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, where our novitiate was at, and then on to Theologiate in Chicago with an interruption to go to Mexico for the first time, where I learned Spanish and fell in love more completely with Our Lady of Guadalupe. So those are kind of the steps along the way up till final vows and ordination.
And the Society of the Divine Word, I mean, there are scholars, there are teachers, there's this formation missionary, working with the poor. I mean, that opens one up to a diversity of vocations, does it not?
Absolutely, yeah.
And at that time, was it prescribed to you pretty much, this is where we need you to go, or was there some mutual discernment that was going on?
There's always mutual discernment, but our Constitution says an essential characteristic of Divine Word missionaries is a willingness to go where the superior sends them. I mean, that's kind of clear, isn't it?
Yeah, that screams obedience, doesn't it? Yeah. So, good.
You know what? I'd have to say something. Of all the vows that I've been most delighted with, poverty, celibacy, and obedience, the one that has given me most joy so far in my life has been obedience. Because whenever I wanted to push hard for something I wanted, maybe it was okay, it's all right. But when I said, okay, let's try that, if the superior asked me to do it, I found tremendous joy.
Mm-hmm. That God proposes better offers than we can come up with on our own.
It really
is. Through the mediation of the church. And,
Here's a little anecdote. I didn't know it at the time when I came here, but my mom was born in this town in Epworth, and her childhood was here. Because her father died young of cancer, and so they moved away. There's a long story to it and all that, but here's the fancy thing. I've been all over the world, right? Mm-hmm. But right now I'm sitting on my great-grandfather's farm. The society bought it from him in 1930.
Truly remarkable. Wow.
Isn't that amazing? So
going back to the womb.
Looking across the highway to where my mom was born, and here I am. I just think God has a funny sense of humor. Why does he send me all over the world to come back here and sit on my great-grandfather's farm? I've claimed with my provincial I'm going to reclaim the land for my family. And he says he's not worried because our Constitution always says whatever you gain for the society. So.
Tremendous. The pandemic, obviously you had a student body of about 125, including men who are studying for the Archdiocese of Dubuque, and some couple sisters from Vietnam who are serving and connected with St. Peter's Parish here on the east side of Des Moines also. Are the women mainly religious, or are there some lay women who are there?
There are some few lay women from time to time, but yes, it's almost all women religious. They're about our normal population of students here is about 125, and they come from about 20 nations. Whether citizens of the United States or immigrants here, and then also international students. But of those 125, about 50 are women religious, including some of the sisters from our parish in St. Peter's over in Des Moines. The same community has some of their members here. And so they come mostly from Vietnam and Southeast Asia, and also from Africa very heavily. A few from elsewhere as well. Yeah. Our men candidates are, about 35 or 40 right now, are our own SVD candidates. And others are candidates for other congregations and missionary orders who need to learn some English or do some further studies.
What a beautiful resource, and I know they can do various subjects. We're going to ask to take a little pause here, Father Tom.
Sure.
So we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by the Sarah Vocations Ministry, including the St. Sarah Club of Des Moines and the Sarah Club of Council Bluffs. Sarah is an apostolate of the Worldwide Catholic Church dedicated to fostering and supporting priesthood and religious vocations. Sarahs strive to accomplish their mission through prayer, fellowship, and service to the bishop, priests, sisters, and all in religious formation, and in doing so to increase their own holiness. Learn more at joinsarah.org, joinserra.org. Thank you, Sarahs, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Iowa Catholic Radio welcomes Scotty McCreery
with special guest Allie Colleen.
Sunday, July 24th at the Iowa Event Center Ballroom.
I'm in between Friday night wild and quiet Sunday morning.
Tickets and information available at celebratecountry.org. Sponsored by Ball Team.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. We're back with Father Tom Ascheman, who's the president at Divine Word College.
Liam, you sound surprised.
I was reading the wrong thing.
Okay. Well, that's why this is a formative experience for us all. So, good. So the diversity of religious orders, people from different continents and things, and they're being well served in their undergraduate studies. They can get philosophy and theology, liberal arts, and all that. But the scope and the aim has kind of been unfolding even for the order itself, as you think about what is the missionary calling in this contemporary culture, in this world, and the sense of a church everywhere in the world, and so the accents and priorities are evolving for you all. Could you talk about that, Father Tom?
Surely. It's one of the great adventures right now in church history, I think, and that is, that the era of exploration and colonization that accompanied the establishment of the church in many parts of the world is really ended. I mean, there's hardly any place on earth where there isn't already a local church. But does that mean then that there is no missionary activity? And we would say quite the contrary. Now the focus would be not on geography, where you're working, but who you're reaching out to. There's just as much missionary activity here in Dubuque County and down in Des Moines as there would be in, say, for instance, Manila or Beijing. We've we speak about our mission as prophetic dialogue. That is, we try and reach out to establish friendships with people that are not fully incorporated into our faith and want to share with them the joy that we have in our faith and hear also from their life. So we focused on 4 groups: faith seekers, the poor and marginalized, people of many cultures, and people of other religious traditions. So we continually look to reach beyond those that have already gathered in the church to be involved in dialogue with them. And we speak about it as prophetic for 2 reasons. One is that concretely, when we reach out in friendship like that, we hear the Spirit speaking to us, probably to them as well. We expect that. But then also, we think the fact that, say, for instance, you reach out with people of another culture challenges racism. Reaching out, having friendship with somebody from another religious tradition, keeps us away from religious intolerance. And to faith seekers, or to nuns, as they say, at the NONES, no particular activity, still that friendship, speaks to our culture today about continuing to reach out in a culture that's so fragmented in many ways that we try and rebuild bridges of friendship.
It sounds so, like you say, prophetic in the spirit that our Holy Father Pope Francis is encouraging us, this sense of encounter and accompaniment, and recognizing kind of fratelli tutti, that, yes, we want to share Christ and that encounter, but we also are listening and looking for where Jesus has already revealed himself to others, maybe even unacknowledged in that way, and that people gain a new sense of their own life story already kind of embedded in this great adventure of God's self-disclosure and revelation, ultimately is salvation too. So I think this would be something very attractive. We see yourselves, yes, hopefully forming religious brothers, priests, but lay people that can affiliate with you in any particular way?
We do have many. We have an alumni association. I would say we probably produce more missionary grandfathers than we do missionary priests, because folks, remain profoundly affected, and they write to it. I mean, we're in constant contact with our alumni, constantly indicating how their lives turned out, still formed so much by these principles that we teach in terms of being a missionary college. We're very serious about that. And everyone is here, it's pretty obvious to them, they got to be interested in missionary outreach, or they're just not with the, they're not with the team,
Yeah. Well, you're inviting the spirit that we hope, as we're doing strategic visioning in the Diocese of Des Moines, that we embrace, that everyone sees themselves as missionaries right here, whether it's Cass County or anywhere they're at. So thank you so much, Father Tom Ascheman, for making time for us and amidst your duties as president.
This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to all of our guests and to our listeners in Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, or wherever you may be listening, to Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.